So this is Heather. Heather's coming in today for evaluation of a number of back lesions that we've sort of treated a couple of different times. If you take a look at the various types, you can see that these are plaques. They're sort of raised. They're greater than 0.5 centimeters. They're scaling and they have some texture to them. These are actually benign lesions. These are called seborrheic keratoses, or some people call them senile warts, or dermatologists even call them barnacles, even though I don't find that's overly kind. But they can develop over the course of time. Certainly you'll get more progressive ones. I do warn residents, there is a paraneoplastic process or a sign called Laissez-Trellat sign, and you can pronounce that differently depending on where you're from. It's associated with certain underlying malignancies, so if somebody all of a sudden has a flare of a ton of them and they're quite inflammatory, you have to be concerned with that. So the issue then becomes, how do we remove these? You'll see here there's more of an oxidizing process going on with these. These have been treated once or twice with liquid nitrogen, and you can do that. The nice thing with liquid nitrogen, it's not as caustic, so it's not as painful for the patient. You do have to do a few treatments, but then those will just fall off. The hallmark that I was taught through dermatology is that you have them blanch for 10 seconds 3 times. So as an example, I'm going to do this one up here. I'm just going to spray this. And you want the margin to turn all white. And hold that for 10 seconds. You're okay there, Heather?
Mm-hmm.
And this does sting a little bit, so just touch base with your patient. But for these ones, we don't anesthetize underneath it. Just like that. And then the last time. And that's it. Now alternatively, the other thing you can do, the one just below it, so the one through this area, we've actually put some xylocaine underneath it, so this has been anesthetized. That doesn't hurt at all.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody had a plaque that you had to remove right away, you can use a hyfricator source, so a modification on the bovie. If you run current through it, this actually, does that hurt?
Just a little sting.
Okay, let me put a little bit more freezing in because that shouldn't sting for you. So we've just now added a little bit of extra xylocaine underneath it. So I've used this bovie set at, or hyfricator set at 9. And you can just use it to treat the tissue. You'll see that it becomes somewhat friable. And make sure you do around the base of it. See, it's almost coming up, almost in pieces. And then you can take a scalpel.
Oh, you want a 15? You want me to bring it in your drive? Okay.
So for this one I use a number 15 blade, and you should be able to just scrapes right off. See how that just scrapes right off? Just like that. So the downside with this is putting the anesthesia in. It does sting, so patient will like not to have that always. So then once I do that, then I'll cauterize the base again. And these will actually, they'll heal in quite nicely. So this for the second time, I'm now going around to clean it off. Any margins I may have missed. And you'll see it's still coming up in little bits and pieces. And then I'll use my scalpel to clean up the rest of that. And this should just come off just very easily. Shouldn't have to do a lot of work here. And you just want to do it till your field is nice and flat and consistent. So you can see how up here is all good, just down here there's a little bit left. So all I'll do there is I'll just treat that again with the hyfricator. And I apologize for the crackling sound this makes on the recording. Looks like that. I'll just clean this up one last time. And I've even had some you'll be left with quite a divot that's there, but I found that they will heal in quite nicely, even when there seems to be a three-dimensional component to it. There we go. So then I lower the frequency now. So I'll usually go from 9 down to about a 7 or a 6. And again, I apologize for the crackling you're going to hear. And I just do a nice layer, last layer, make sure that it just doesn't ooze on her at all. One last time. So the little remnants that are there, that will just fall off, be like a big scab, and then over the course of the next 2 weeks, that'll heal in nicely. And that's it.